Hello and welcome back to Indistinct Chatter. I'm Aliza, and if you care even a little about pop culture, media, or award shows, welcome to my Super Bowl, my World Series, my Stanley Cup, dare I say, my Olympics. Award season is fully upon us. Eek! And the Golden Globes did a little something something this year. At the 83rd Golden Globes this year, they gave out their first ever award for Best Podcast. Wow! It's kind of insane when you think about it. Podcasts are officially Hollywood now. And this win, this moment, it got me thinking not just about podcasts, but about who decides what's good, what's valuable, and what we all end up paying attention to. Because to be quite frank with you, for most of us, culture doesn't find us the way it used to. And by culture, I mean entertainment, art, fashion. We don't typically just wander into it anymore. We're not organically stumbling across it. And honestly, we're not really relying on critics or tastemakers the same way anymore. We experience culture through our feeds, through recommendations, autoplay, the whole you might like this thing that pops up when you're scrolling. And for me, it's starting to feel icky, like ickier than usual. And that ickiness, that's the algorithm. That growling in the background, if you heard it, was some semi revving their engine. Can semis rev their engine? I don't know. But anyway, before we spiral, let's talk about why this Golden Globes moment matters specifically for podcasting. For years, podcasts have lived in this weird space, this kind of illegitimate space. It's an internet thing, but yet podcasts have massive audiences and they have real influence. Podcasts are quietly woven into people's daily routines, whether it's their drive to work, the gym, doing household chores, walking your dog, whatever it may be. And yet podcasts have and still are treated as this side hobby, the internet thing, or even like a life crisis thing, like, oh, Aliza has a podcast now. She must be going through something. Or Aliza has a podcast now. Cute, I guess. She must like to hear herself talk. And you know what? I kind of do, okay? I think I can be interesting sometimes. And that aside, not to be dramatic, but this award, this Golden Globe Award, it changes everything, okay? It changes all of that. This is actually a big cultural moment. When an organization or institution such as the Golden Globes recognizes podcasts, they're saying, hey, this isn't just content. This is storytelling. This is performance. This is culture. Now, podcasts are in the same rooms, the same conversations, and standing on the same stage as film and television. They're being taken more seriously, as they should. And that matters especially for podcasters who aren't chart toppers or algorithm darlings. This means that impact isn't only measured in downloads. And this is really important for the future of podcasting because once podcasts are taken seriously by legacy media, the rules start to shift. Now there's room for more long form conversations, slower pacing, shows that aren't optimized for clips, and even voices that don't fit neatly into trends. You see what I'm saying? Podcasts might not have to rely on algorithms, and that's pretty cool. And if you didn't see the news or watch the Golden Globes, the winner, again, for the first ever Golden Globe for podcasts was Good Hang with Amy Poehler. Yay! Such a huge accomplishment. But what's interesting, or should I say perfect, about Good Hang winning this award is that it's not an algorithm monster, okay? Amy's podcast isn't built on rage bait or outrage in general. It's not engineered to be viral. She's not racing to hook you in the first 5 seconds of an episode. I mean, sometimes the guest is the hook, but if you listen to her regardless of her guest, you'll notice she's not clickbaity. Podcasting feels a lot like a race to become something. I know for me, I try to constantly study algorithms that aren't my own to see how I can get there. I took so long to even begin my podcast because I wanted to be more clip friendly, algorithm friendly. I wanted to be on top of trends and be relevant and obviously get as many listeners as I could. But it was a lot, very overwhelming. And I think it's the reason I've had such a hard time figuring out my voice and my flow. But good hang is just people hanging out and being comfy and casual with each other and just sharing conversations. It feels real and not curated for clicks. And they're laughing, and it's just nice to listen to. And that's the big takeaway, honestly. This award wasn't based on who dominated TikTok or YouTube shorts or whatever. Real humans, like 300 entertainment journalists and such, all weighed in with their tastes, their vibes, their preferences, and collectively said, hey, this shit is pretty good. Okay? That's huge, especially right now when so much of what we see and hear is filtered through algorithms that frankly don't measure quality or truth. They measure attention. They measure how long you watched, if you replayed, if you commented, if you stayed, even if you were angry and hate watched it. Because the algorithm doesn't know why you stayed. So anger counts, fear counts, doom counts. You watch one finance bro screaming at you to open a high yield savings account, and suddenly your feed is all hustle culture and more men yelling at you about passive income and how you should have just purchased a home when you were 7, you lazy piece of shit. Or maybe you like one or two capybara videos. Now, 2 years later, if there's a lull in your social media activity, your feed is all capybaras again trying to pull you back in. And more recently, and I'm sorry to get heavy, but maybe you see a video of ice activity, then another, and another. And now it's 2 a.m., your heart is racing, you feel sick to your stomach, you're enraged, you just feel awful. The algorithm doesn't know that. It just understands it as great news. They stayed, they want more, and therefore you'll get more. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying we should ignore what's happening in our country. I'm not saying we should look away from injustice. I'm not talking about people caring too much or being too online. I'm just talking about how this information is delivered and how constant exposure without choice, context, or pause can mess with your mental health and also distort what feels normal or justified. Over time, algorithms quietly shape your sense of reality, whether you realize it or not. It doesn't show you everything. It shows you the same version of something over and over again. And when one version keeps repeating, your brain can start to treat it as common, acceptable, or even true, even when it represents harm, misinformation, or a very narrow slice of what's actually happening in the world. After enough time goes by where something decides what you see over and over again, it starts shaping how you feel. And that's where bias quietly gets created. Not because the algorithm is lying to you or to push some agenda, but because it only shows you more of what you already reacted to. So it understands that as you wanting more of it. And the algorithm also allows our good friend anxiety to creep in. And I don't mean to generalize, but I'm sure a lot of us are feeling anxious right now, maybe without fully knowing why. We're getting spoon fed this constant pressure in the background of everything we do. We're expected to keep informed, stay visible, stay relevant, stay calm, even when everything just feels too much. And for creators, there's this pressure to perform for the algorithm. For listeners, the pressure is just to keep up. And that's why, to tie this all back, this Golden Globes moment feels more than just an awards show update to me. It feels like a cultural signal of something changing. What used to be common but isn't anymore, something wasn't chosen by a mathematical equation. It was chosen by people. And I know I sound so anti-tech, but I'm not. I love tech and I think algorithms are fascinating and can be useful and they do help us find things. I mean, I find new music because of the algorithm, but an algorithm can't tell you what matters. it can't tell you what feels meaningful or what brings comfort. That's all you. The algorithm just optimizes. And like I mentioned with my predictions for 2026 episode, it feels like a lot of us, especially millennials and maybe even some Gen Z, we're craving something different. We want to slow it down. We want less performance. We want more messy, human, regular shit. Relatability. And I think that explains why long form podcasts are still thriving and why podcasts like Good Hang resonate with so many people. And also why podcasting as a medium might actually be entering a really interesting phase where quality matters more than becoming viral. Voice matters more than being super polished, and connection matters more than optimization. Obviously, algorithms aren't going anywhere. They're getting more intense, honestly. I mean, it used to take at least a few days or so to change my feed. But now, after one or two likes of something, my feed is a whole new feed. But I think that we're entering the phase where we're learning how to coexist with algorithms a little more intentionally, like only engaging with content that actually makes you feel good. Or, like I said, you can change your feed in a day now based on what you interact with. My threads algorithm is still 100% Stranger Things with a little bit of P&W pictures. My Instagram is nonsense, weird, niche things. My Pinterest is all sparkles, flowers, and cute little goth cartoons. My Facebook is lawless. I don't use it enough. It mostly just shows me sponsored posts or weird pages that it thinks that I might be interested in. A lot of bird pages are recommended to me. And not to sound preachy, but just try to remember that what you see isn't the full picture. It's what you kept watching. And I think we should, like humans, not just machines, influence our tastes again. Like, I'm not talking sponsored ads from influencers, just maybe like your neighbor. Maybe she says, "Ooh, hi, I have this new brand of floor cleaner. It gets everything so clean." And then you try it, and maybe it's your new staple. Or like, remember professional tastemakers, all those lists from people regarded for knowing things, that having like actual knowledge about something. Like, I trust Rachel Ray knows what she's talking about when it comes to ingredients and cooking supplies, or Martha. Or maybe you trust Willie or Snoop to recommend a new strain, eh? I know I sure have. If you are interested in learning more about algorithms, I do have a few doc recommendations for you. First, The Social Dilemma on Netflix. It's the one that I recommend the most to people. I keep trying to tell my parents to watch it. It definitely woke me up to how easy it is to get lost in the sauce. Basically, it's a documentary, but not in the like typical sense, I don't feel. Uh, it's investigative, but it's also just really easy to follow, and it has a nice flow, a nice narrative. Basically, you hear from big tech whistleblowers who expose the services big tech provides, like search engines, networks, instant info, all that stuff. And these are people who engineered these services or worked for these companies. And they just talk about how these services are basically a drug or like candy. And it just lures us in, the consumer, and we get hooked. And once we're hooked, we keep going back for more while we're slowly being influenced and manipulated without even realizing it. It's psychological manipulation over an entire society. It's really chill, really cool. It's not cool. It's not chill. There's also another doc called Coded Bias, where they investigate racial and gender bias with AI algorithms, especially how facial recognition doesn't see dark-skinned faces accurately. And then there is another BBC docuseries called The Secret Rules, The Secret Rules of Modern Living Algorithms. And this one has a mathematician who actually breaks down algorithms and how they work and what they've achieved. It's fascinating stuff, but as the consumers, we are not on the same level as the engineers and the creators. So it is our job to learn and to redirect and to be aware. You know the saying, the more you know. Also, What's the wildest thing that has popped in your algorithm? Let me know in the comments. For me, aside from the capybaras, I used to get a bunch of weird Verbo ads for some reason. I don't know why. They weren't normal places. Like one time it was a weird cellar. One time it was just a photo of some horses on a porch. One time it was what looked like a shed with a giant Jesus statue on it. One time I straight up was being shown crack pipes from Wish. I mean, I search weird things while listening to true crime pods, so maybe my algorithm gets a little wonky because of that. Um, I used to get dancing cartoon sausages a lot too. I don't really know why. I wasn't mad about it though. And I don't know what this says about me, but I do get a lot of 9/11 content. I also get some really spooky videos from scrolling late at night. It's like it knows that it's nighttime. Ooh. But lately, it's this guy who goes to haunted locations or abandoned locations in the dark, and he's got this giant boom box, and he's like, "Spirits, let's dance!" And then he blasts Lady Gaga or Fetty Wap or somebody like that, and I love it. Anyway, thank you for listening to me blab. I hope I didn't make this too scary or boring or too preachy for you. If you liked this episode, please rate and review or share with a friend. I'd also love to know what you want to hear in future episodes. If you found this podcast through your algorithm, hi, are you spooked? If you found me because someone recommended this to you, hi, thank you. Thank your friend. We will chat next week. Love ya. Love you. Bye.